Faldi, a keen detective honed by her time in the Quest Society, possessed a unique magical talent. She could create a magic bug nest, linking her mind with insects like moths and bees. Releasing these scouts, she could scan vast areas for magical energy sources. This ingenious method not only prevented surprise demon attacks but also allowed her to explore hidden locations. After a 3-day search, Faldi pinpointed over a dozen magical signatures, including Garcia at location 0827. Eliminating duplicates left 6 promising targets. The most tempting among them resided in a luxurious villa, perfect for Roland's plan. Roland's scheme was simple: locate fallen evils, mutated monsters unlikely to stray far, and plunder their magical power, the force of nature, along with any valuables. Destroying them wouldn't raise suspicion, and even if their bodies were discovered, the authorities would assume another group of awakened, superpowered individuals were responsible. The Martialist Association wouldn't suspect a band of magical bandits operating in their city. Disembarking from their cabs, the group huddled around Dawnan in a secluded corner. Dawnan, with her matte curtain ability, could cloak them in an invisibility field, effectively masking not just sight but also smell, magic auras, and sound within its range. No one could detect their presence unless making direct physical contact. Dawnan's ability would be crucial for a successful surprise attack. Guided by Faldi's intel, the 5 bypassed the villa's main entrance and headed towards its base nestled on a hillside. This opulent enclave, boasting sprawling villas with expansive yards, was deserted at night, the ideal setting for Roland's heist. There, Faldi announced, pointing to a sprawling, isolated mansion on the roadside. Its spacious courtyard dwarfed even the city's signature tube-shaped apartments. Lucky bastards, Roland grumbled, glancing warily at the blinking security cameras. He then turned to Ling, the final member, or rather, the infiltration specialist, of their pioneering team. "Your turn, Ling. Remember what we practiced." Ling gave a curt nod and slowly dissolved into the shadows, like a phantom sinking into the darkness. Unlike Nightingale or Margie, who could phase through solid objects, the tequila survivors lacked such abilities. However, Ling's talent proved invaluable for this mission. She could merge with any shadow, moving like fluid within its embrace. With night blanketing the area and shadows stretching everywhere, the entire courtyard became her canvas, allowing her to slip through gaps between doors and windows with ease. A faint click echoed as the door yielded to Ling's touch, opening a sliver wide. A tense air hung heavy in the grand hall. Faldi, her brow furrowed, reported to Roland, "Your Majesty, intruders lurk within. Their magical signatures rival near-hybrid demonic beasts. Can you and Phyllis handle them?" Roland inquired, a steely glint in his eyes. "As long as they're not senior demons," Phyllis confidently replied, "we'll make short work of them." A grim nod from Roland affirmed their plan. He strode through the lengthy porch, only to find the villa shrouded in darkness. Wooden boards obscured the windows, leaving just a few flickering lights that cast a meager glow on the cavernous hall. The air, stagnant and heavy, felt like a sudden shift from autumn's crispness to the bite of winter. A foul stench permeated the space, turning Roland's stomach. In the center of the hall, a solitary figure stood motionless, their intended target. The moment Roland stepped inside, a surge of warmth coursed through his body, far more potent than the encounter with the fake man. Faldi, it seemed, had landed them a significant prize. But a disquieting detail snagged Roland's attention. Gazing at the 2-story wall opposite the target stood a grotesque sculpture, crafted from an unknown material that resembled weathered leather or perhaps wood. It was a monstrous creation with a human face, powerful wings, and mismatched limbs, a hulking beast nearly 4 meters long. The lifelike carvings of feathers and veins spoke of its exorbitant value, a grotesque testament to the wealthy owner's peculiar taste. "1 million gold royals at least," Roland muttered, momentarily distracted by its artistry. "Showtime," he declared, tearing his gaze away from the sculpture. Phyllis, cloaked in the invisibility of the matte curtains, silently slunk behind the target. With lightning speed, a claw erupted from her back, propelled by magic. The air crackled as the energy disrupted the shimmering veil of the curtain for a fleeting moment. The man, sensing a flicker of movement, whipped his head around. But it was too late. At such close range, even an extraordinary wouldn't have a chance to react. The razor-sharp claw tore through his neck and exited his lower back, severing him in two in a single, brutal strike. The enemy crumpled, eyes wide with shock, as crimson blood blossomed across the floor. It seemed a fallen evil, even with its core intact, couldn't survive such a brutal severing. That's it? Ling's voice emerged from the shadows beside the sofa. Plunder's next, the real reason we're here, Roland replied, pinching his nose. The putrid stench had intensified, though he couldn't tell if it was his imagination. Remember the plan? Ling raised a hand. Gold ornaments, red notes, chests with orbs. Skip coins and forget most gems. Roland grinned. Perfect. Especially the red notes. Hopefully, our target wasn't a big online shopper. He scanned the body, then hesitated. Just as I'm about to collect the force of nature. Faldy's brow furrowed. Wait. The magic signature, it's still there? Growing stronger. The others whirled around, alarm etched on their faces. The power source isn't gone, Faldy elaborated, her gaze darting around the room. It's intensifying. Look. The sculpture. A collective gasp escaped their lips. The grotesque sculpture, its material strangely lifelike, suddenly gaped open, revealing a monstrous tongue that whipped towards Roland like a living dart. Your Majesty, watch out. Phyllis lunged forward, her claws flashing as she intercepted the tongue's path. But Roland, far from his novice self, anticipated the attack. Grabbing Phyllis's waist in a swift maneuver, he rolled them both out of the way just as the tongue, sharp as an arrow, slammed into the corpse's bisected half. It wrapped around the exposed force of nature core and yanked it free. The crimson orb shot towards the sculpture's open maw. Roland watched, heart pounding, as the solid force of nature core began to spin again within the creature's grasp. A swarm of insects erupted from the sculpture's back, fleeing in a panicked flurry. Their presence, drawn by the surging magic, went unnoticed by Faldy. Roland, however, with his enhanced senses, understood the chilling reality: there were two sources of magic at play. The sculpture, core now pulsating within it, spoke in a booming voice. Foolish mortals! This sacred ground is no place for thieves. Be gone! It reared back, drawing in a deep breath, then unleashed a torrent of blood-red energy that tore through the room. Furniture splintered into a million pieces. The magical attack slammed into the matte curtains, shredding them and leaving Duncan and Faldy crumpled on the floor, thankfully just out of the direct path of the devastating blast. Roland, however, stood his ground. The warmth within him surged, enveloping him like a protective shield as the magical energy washed over him. What is this power, he thought, bewildered. It was unlike any witch's magic he'd ever encountered. This wasn't mere manipulation, it was raw, potent energy. His newfound understanding of magic, fueled by the strange force within him, told him one thing for certain: this monstrous guardian was beyond anything a fallen evil could unleash. The witches' faces mirrored Roland's own astonishment. This creature's grasp of magic power transcended theirs by a significant margin. Its magical signature. Faldy hissed, teeth gritted, rivals a senior demon's. The grotesque statue boomed with laughter. Demons? That's your term for my ancestors? Pathetic ignorance. With a surprisingly graceful motion for its size, it tore free the rivets securing its wings to the wall. It landed with a heavy thud, crouching menacingly before the intruders. You trespass on the divine domain, seeking to steal its very essence, and dare call the chasers demons? Utterly foolish. Divine domain? Chasers? Roland furrowed his brow. This cryptic terminology was beyond him. Suddenly, a streak of black materialized from the shadows behind the creature, striking its cheek like a phantom blade. It was Ling. Her shadowy form solidified momentarily, revealing a dagger buried deep within the creature's eye, exiting through the back of its head. With a fluid motion, she vanished back into the darkness. Brilliant! Phyllis exclaimed, pumping her fist in the air. But their elation was short-lived. Unlike the fallen evil, this creature didn't crumble. A crack snaked across its seemingly wooden face, and its voice, now raspy and detached, echoed through the room. A common blade and a flicker of magic? You have no idea of the power housed within the divine domain. Prepare to witness the true might of the Lord. Before it finished, a series of sickening cracks echoed in the air. The fracture on its face spiderwebbed across its entire body, and the black shell shattered, peeling away in fragments. The revealed interior pulsed with a dark red glow, like molten blood simmering beneath the surface. As the final husk crumbled, Roland felt a surge of raw horror. This wasn't a mere statue animated by magic, it was a creature entirely composed of it. Glowing star jades nestled within its body, gradually coalescing into a massive ring at its chest. It wasn't a fallen evil corrupted by magic, it was a magical creature in its purest form. Who is your lord? Roland's voice cut through the tense silence. Unlike the mindless fallen evils, this creature seemed to possess a strange depth of emotion. Perhaps, Roland thought, gleaning information could be their key to survival. With a subtle gesture, he urged the injured Faldy and Duncan to retreat. He knew, with a chilling certainty, that if escape became the only option, his speed would far surpass the wounded witches. The creature scoffed. My lord exists beyond your comprehension, an entity both all and nothing. Your pathetic tricks hold no power here. It unfurled its spectral wings, radiating an ominous red glow, and reached out towards the floor. Thinking of escape now? Too little, too late. A torrent of scarlet blood erupted from its form, rapidly engulfing the room. Within a blink, the once familiar hall transformed into a grotesque vessel of crimson and black. It squeezed and pulsed like a beating heart, forcing Ling from her concealed position and slamming her down beside the injured Phyllis. What's happening? Faldy cried out in terror. Roland whipped his head around to see spiked tentacles erupt from the blood-soaked walls, ensnaring the witch's legs in a sickening grip. A chilling memory flickered in his mind, a similar encounter during his escape from the Holy City. But there was no time for rumination. The situation escalated with horrifying speed. Roland, fueled by the now frantic current within him, channeled every ounce of his strength and launched himself at the bizarre enemy. Surprise flickered across the creature's face. You seem unaffected? It raised a colossal palm towards Roland. Very well. How about this then? A torrent of raw power erupted from its palm, slamming into Roland with the force of a battering ram. He felt the impact like a monstrous hammer blow, sending him crashing into the wall with a bone-jarring thud. A searing pain scorched his back, and he tasted a sickly sweet, metallic tang in his throat. Your Majesty! A desperate cry ripped from Phyllis's throat. She was the only one left with any semblance of mobility. Her blade claws danced a deadly ballet, severing the pulsating tentacles that threatened to engulf them all. But the sheer number of them was overwhelming, pinning her in place and leaving Roland stranded. This was the breaking point. Yet, Roland's mind remained astonishingly clear. Fear, a primal emotion, seemed absent from his thoughts, as if erased. The warmth within him surged with an unimaginable intensity, mirroring the thunderous beat of his heart. A profound change, something momentous, was coursing through his very being. The world pulsed with power, drawn to him like a moth to a flame. Even the crimson glow that stained the walls seemed to sluggishly recoil. Trails of blood parted around him, leaving shimmering blue marks where they grazed his form. This transformation was beyond his control, an alien process unfolding within him. A strange symphony echoed in his ears, a distorted chorus of the witch's desperate cries morphing into a unified chant. Destroy it! Kill it! The monstrous creature recoiled too, sensing a shift in the balance of power. Its voice, previously raspy with confidence, now held a tremor of unease. What's happening? What have you done to my magic? Roland couldn't answer. The warmth within him had reached a fever pitch, his body instinctively coiling like a spring. In a blur of motion, he hurled himself at the enemy, a living projectile propelled by an unknown force. Die! The monster mirrored his action, raising a colossal hand to meet him. But this time, the attack found no purchase. A translucent curtain of blue light shimmered into existence around Roland, deflecting the blow with a blinding flash. The impact sent him hurtling, not backward, but directly into the monster's chest. His fist connected with a sickening squelch, sinking into the creature's form like clay. His fingers brushed the star jade ring pulsating at its center. With a surge of strength, Roland gripped the ring, eliciting an ear-splitting shriek from the creature. "No, this is the Lord's power. How dare you!" The ring, a swirling galaxy of crimson hues, began to flicker, changing from menacing red to a celestial blue and white. The shift was slow, punctuated by desperate surges of its original color. It was as if Roland were wrestling a raging bull, one fueled by the very essence of magic. Yet, the tide was turning. More power, a torrent of raw energy, flowed into him, the world seemingly merging with his being. So, it all makes sense now. A vortex eye atop the creature's head flickered open, revealing a glimpse of an endless abyss. You are the creator. You are the one who defeated my lord." Roland scoffed. "Didn't you claim your lord was everything and nothing? How could I possibly fight a concept? Fool! My lord may be all-encompassing, but he cannot be everywhere at once. Go back from where you came. You are destroying everything." It sputtered, its voice choked with a digital stutter. "All life, not just your own, will perish because of you." As the resistance in the ring slackened, and its transformation accelerated, Roland noticed a shift in the creature's demeanor. Its once expressive face had become a mask of cold, monotonous pronouncements, like a broken machine reciting a script. He glanced at the witches, huddled on the floor, drained of magic yet alive. A low growl rumbled in his chest. "No. The only ones perishing here are your kind. I don't know where you came from, or what your purpose is, but this world will be better off without you. From the bottomless land, no purpose, just rule." Its voice trailed off, its mechanical pronouncements failing entirely. The resistance in Roland's hand vanished. The ring pulsed with blinding light, drawing in the surrounding jades before exploding in a dazzling white nova. For a moment, Roland felt the earth's heartbeat beneath his feet. This surge of power dwarfed the previous experiences, a breathtaking spectacle that painted the night sky in a column of silver light. Standing at the epicenter, a wave of indescribable satisfaction washed over Roland, a euphoria unlike anything he'd known. The witches, according to Phyllis, had been drained of their magic during the struggle, an impossible feat in the normal world. But this was just another anomaly on a night overflowing with them. After a brief search, Roland, burdened with a heavy safe and a stolen car key, led the battered witches out of the silent villa, leaving the creature and its chilling pronouncements behind. Thankfully, Roland's forgotten driving lessons from university came in handy. He gripped the stolen car key, never imagining his first time behind the wheel would be in the dreamscape. "Your Majesty," Faldy rasped, her voice weak, "what was that creature? Fallen evils can't possess such power, can they? It seems illogical for them to amass such magic so quickly." Explaining this wouldn't be easy, and his own theory wasn't foolproof. He recalled a crucial detail: when the blue light overtook the creature, its demeanor and awareness seemed to diminish, almost reverting to a more conventional form. Roland could only shake his head. "I don't know for sure, but it wasn't a fallen evil." Ling, still shaken, chimed in, "Are there more like that in the dream world? When that black and red void engulfed the room, I felt paralyzed, like something terrifying was watching. Facing senior demons wasn't even half as unnerving." "Hopefully not," Roland said reassuringly. "Otherwise, the dream world wouldn't stand." "Driving lessons, huh?" Roland chuckled, pushing his own thoughts aside for a moment. Phyllis's head bobbed up and down eagerly. "There'll be a few more adventures before that," he said, a playful glint in his eye. "But when this is all over, we can explore every kind of food imaginable. Your own room, your own car, all within reach. Food tastier than KFC and Hot Pot?" Faldy chimed in, a hint of hope creeping into her voice. "Those are just the tip of the iceberg," Roland assured them. "With enough coin, you could try a different dish every day for years and still not come close to everything the world has to offer." He didn't need to look back to feel the witch's gazes burning with newfound curiosity. "Once Duncan's recovered," Faldy said, her voice stronger than before, "let's hit the next house. I marked its location earlier." "I'm good to go," Duncan piped up in a surprisingly cheerful tone. A few scratches won't slow me down. We can leave tomorrow, after our magic recharges. Even Ling, shaken as she was, couldn't help but be swayed by Roland's vision. Though she remained silent, a spark of anticipation flickered in her eyes as Roland caught her reflection in the rearview mirror. A wave of warmth washed over Roland. It seemed raising team spirits wasn't as complicated as he'd thought. A little hope, a glimpse of a brighter future, that was all it took. The spoils of victory, such as they were, needed sorting. Disappointingly, the safe yielded a meager sum, $100,000 or so. However, a treasure trove of jewels, jades and pearls, filled the remaining space. Their value was difficult to gauge at a glance. To Roland's surprise, the haul even included several solidified forces of nature, their weight belying their size and hinting at a potential fortune. Cash obsolete? Forces of nature the new currency? The questions swirled in his head. By the time he returned to 0827, it was past 11. He tiptoed in to find the living room bathed in soft light. Zero lay sprawled on the couch, her back arched in a way that suggested impending slumber. Open textbooks and a half-used pencil case were scattered around her, remnants of a valiant attempt to finish homework before his return. A pang of something akin to familial warmth bloomed in Roland's chest. Their relationship was supposed to be strictly tenant-landlord, yet here they were, teetering on the edge of something more. He scooped her up gently and carried her to her room. After removing her shoes, he tucked her under a warm quilt. The textbooks. Right. If she forgot them in the morning, the blame would inevitably fall on him. With a chuckle, Roland gathered the books and placed them neatly on her desk. A bold title on one cover snagged his attention, Junior High Math Olympiad. It screamed impressive but whispered utterly impractical. Memories of his own teenage years surfaced. Math held zero appeal back then, and the Math Olympiad, he naively assumed, was simply advanced math. He'd shunned it, opting for sketching and calligraphy instead. As a result, his current grasp of the subject was embarrassingly non-existent. Yet, a strange curiosity flickered within him. His breath hitched. Taking a deep breath, he hesitantly flipped open the textbook. The rows of neatly arranged problems and Zero's graceful annotations held his gaze captive. Shivering, Lightning fumbled with numb fingers to unlatch her tent and crawled inside. Her breath puffed out in white clouds as she peeled off her frost-caked goggles and gloves, shoving them towards the sputtering flames of the brazier. A welcome tingle danced across her fingertips as warmth finally seeped back into them. 13 days at the foot of the snow-shrouded mountain had yielded one certainty: a vast, cavernous network honeycombed the peak. Multiple entrances hinted at sprawling passageways, but pinpointing the main cave housing the fabled ruin was proving elusive. Carving a tunnel wide enough for the first army through the unforgiving rock was even more daunting. Neither Ilara nor Maggie possessed the brute strength needed for such an undertaking. Their skills lay in reconnaissance, patrolling the mountain's perimeter and venturing into the labyrinthine caves, squeezing through narrow crevices the magic arc couldn't navigate. These explorations, crucial for charting a path, were often the most arduous and time-consuming part of any venture. As her father often said, an explorer's life was a constant journey, a relentless pursuit of discovery. Here, amidst the howling wind and swirling snow, Ilara understood the truth of his words more than ever. The thrill of unearthing the unknown fueled her, even as frustration gnawed at her. The path to their goal might be arduous, but the spirit of exploration, that unyielding hunger for knowledge, burned bright within her. A flurry of frantic steps outside the tent ripped Lightning from her thoughts. It was Wendy, her voice breathless with a tremor of fear. "Lightning, it's Agatha and the others. They're back, but..." Wendy's voice hitched. "There's been an accident. Fran's missing." Lightning bolted upright, her heart hammering against her ribs. "Missing? What do you mean missing?"